Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. As always, thank you for joining me. If you could, hit the subscribe button and let's get right to it. Now, over at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, over in Maryland, apparently something rather amazing took place. And it took about 14 hours for this, and I think it's rather cool what they were able to do. Over at Johns Hopkins, they performed the first ever full penis and scrotal transplant on a military veteran who had been injured by an IED while he was, I guess when he was over in Iraq. And they were able to fully replace his penis and everything. And apparently, from the reports, it took place back on March 6th or March 26th. It took 9 plastic surgeons, 2 urological surgeons, and it was very interesting how they did it, because they took a penis, a scrotum apparently without any testicles, and a partial abdominal wall that came from a deceased donor. And apparently, it says he's a military veteran who was injured by an IED in Afghanistan, not Iraq, and wishes to remain anonymous. Apparently, he will be being discharged from the hospital in this week, and I think that's rather cool what they were able to do. The fact is, there are a lot of soldiers out there that get injured by these devices and other instances where this happens, where they literally lose that part of their body. And it's something that's not talked about. We really don't talk. You don't hear people talking about that. When you turn on the news, you hear about veterans losing a limb, an arm, a leg, or both legs. But you don't hear about them losing their genitalia. You don't hear about that hardly. It's one of those many things that takes place on the field of battle, and that our troops deal with, that nobody really talks about. I've read a number of stories over the years about troops going through this, and how devastating it can be to a lot of them. So it's very tragic that this happened to this individual. It's very tragic that it happens at all. War really doesn't solve a whole lot and all the time, but sometimes it's sadly, it's a necessary evil sometimes. And I'm glad there are people out there that are willing to put their lives and bodies on the line, to protect other people. But these people, they get injured, and nobody really seems to care about some of the injuries they have. Just because you can't see them, and, people act like they're not there. Like, PTSD, for example. People don't really want to talk about it. They want to act like it's just something weak people get, which isn't how it works. Some very strong people, very strong-minded people end up with PTSD. It has nothing to do with your will, your mental abilities, or anything like that. If you see something like that, like war, like what you see on a battlefield, PTSD is real, folks. It will come get you. And then this injury. We don't talk about troops losing this part of their body, or losing complete function of that part of their body. We just leave them there to suffer a lot of times, and they get no help. And for a long time, there didn't seem like there was a lot of help for them. Maybe some reconstructive stuff. But now, if this is fully successful, and it looks like it has been so far, it's been a month, and he hasn't rejected it apparently. It could all work out. They may be able to make this actually work for this gentleman. Now, he wanted to remain anonymous, so he doesn't really want his name out there. But I would like to, extend my thanks to him for, serving his country, for all of us, so we have the freedoms we do here at home. And 2, Congratulations on getting the surgery. I hope it really helps you out. You know, we really should do more for our veterans. They don't ask. They come home from war. They don't really ask for much. You know, they don't ask for as much as they deserve, in my opinion, and they don't get half of what they deserve. These people go out there. They put their lives on the lines every single day. You know, they don't care. You know they do care that it may be their last day, but they don't. They do it because of love of country. They do it to protect our freedoms. They do it because they are Americans who believe in our Constitution. They believe in our way of life. And I have to say thank you to all of them, especially those that that haven't made it, that didn't make it back, or those that didn't make it back completely whole. So I thank all our troops for the courage that they show every single day. And to this gentleman, I think it's rather amazing to see what had happened. You know, they've been planning this penis transplant procedure for a long time. They wanted to eventually help wounded veterans. They put out a report in 2016 that showed that 1,367 men in the United States military had suffered injuries to their genitals and urinary tract in Afghanistan or Iraq. And they also found that 35% of the injuries were, or most were caused by bomb blast. Most were, over a third were considered severe, and among the injured were men. Men were 94% were 35 years or younger. And it goes on down here and says that many men sustained disfiguring genital injuries during their peak years of sexual development and reproductive potential, researchers wrote in 2016. You know, it's a very complicated thing, and these guys really, they did a lot of work, and it took them 14 hours and a lot of doctors to get this all done, and they were able to be successful. As of right now, the estimated cost of a penis transplant is somewhere between $50,000 to $75,000, and that's a lot of money. But I'm just glad they're moving towards being able to correct things like this and it could help a lot of other people. It's going to help the veterans for sure, but it could also this kind of technology will help, and this kind of know-how will help other people that have had other problems. Like, I was watching one of those shows on TLC one time where a guy got some kind of bacterial infection and ended up losing his manhood over it, and now he would have the ability, if he has the money, to get this done. And so I think this could be a very big help for people across the country and around the world, especially for our veterans. Anyhow, you keep this guy in your thoughts and prayers, and don't forget, thank our veterans. They do a lot for this country, and people don't really seem to give them the credit they deserve. Anyhow, y'all have a great day. I'll see you down the road. This has been The Big Ranch Show.